Hi, circuit riders. Well, this is not the intro I had planned to this video. We have arrived in Houlton, Maine on our way to our land for a couple of months to enjoy our land up here in northern Maine. And on the way up, while we were driving up 95, we got a DEF fault on the truck. So normally, if you don't have enough DEF in your truck, you know, it will give you a warning, and like, if you run out of DEF, you're gonna be slowed down to 50 miles an hour. Well, this was not a low DEF warning because we're full of DEF, but it was a fault saying that the DEF was not working correctly and that we were going to be, you know, downgraded to 50 miles an hour. And we thought, well, but we're full of DEF, we should be fine. So we just let it run. We let it run 50 miles, 40 miles, 30 miles. And when we got to 0 miles, the truck downgraded to 50 miles an hour. So we were able to limp in here to Houlton to an O'Reilly's auto shop. And they were able to get their little tablet out and diagnose the truck. And there is a DEF fault. And also, and we've had this for months, like a powertrain exhaust fault. We have an appointment at the Ford dealership here on Wednesday, which is just a few days from now, and we were going to have them address that. But it looks like maybe that caused a DEF problem, or they're, you know, together there's a double fault, whatever. So we've got our RV parked into the back of the O'Reilly parking lot. The manager has generously said that we could stay here overnight if necessary, or for a couple nights until Ford opens on Monday. But right now he's got one of his guys trying to look at the engine and see if they can figure out any kind of code error, reset the code, or Jason's going to fill you in some more.
Yeah, it could be as simple as taking off the DEF injector sensor stuff, whatever that is, and cleaning it. So that's what he's found may do that. So that may get us till Wednesday, but we've literally stayed in worse. This is just a
Harvest Host parking
Harvest
lot.
Host with a garage. And actually, it's not O'Reilly rents from the I don't know what their name is.
VIP
Yeah,
Auto.
so VIP Auto is the shop, and then O'Reilly kind of rents in their building. So there's a little bit
It's kind of
symbiotic.
two
but
shops here.
yeah.
So you know, it downgraded to 50 miles an hour, and you might be saying, well, you could have still got to the land on 50 miles an hour. But then it gave us a fault that said your truck will go into idle mode soon, which we think means you can turn on the truck, but you can't drive it.
Or at least it'll be super slow. And other trucks may call it limp mode, where, and I don't know if it's 5 to 15 miles. It's the next stage down, though. It's very slow. It's so you can move it around the yard, I think.
We're still 12 miles away from the land, and we did not want to start down that road and then, you know, break down halfway in the middle of Route 1. That would have been way worse.
This way, we're parked right here in the throbbing heart of the Houlton metropolis. We can walk to Walmart, Martin's, actually Domino's
Pizza
across
Hut,
is here, 20 feet that way.
So
We've got all these lovely potato fields behind us. It really is. It's just a harvest house.
It's possible if they are able to clean the injector, we might be able to, you know, overcome the fault and go ahead into the land. But we're prepared to stay here overnight. We'll keep you posted.
It's an adventure. It'll be fun. Now, you may need to do a reset.
I might be able to reset it. I don't know.
DEF fault.
So now it's in the idle mode,
Yeah.
limp mode, whatever, supposedly.
So maybe we could drive down the street and see how fast we can go. So he was able to get the DEF injector out and said it was all gunked up. And he scraped it out and cleaned it out a bit. They've got it back in. We're restarting the truck. But now it says that the DEF exhaust is in idle mode. So I don't even know if we could drive it, or it might be very slow. But they're seeing if they can reset the fault, or, you know, clear it out or something. Still working on it. So Ella and I are hanging out in the RV. It's very warm today, and pretty warm in here, but at least she can get a little bite to eat and we're not sitting in the hot truck. All right, Jason's gonna try just driving it around the parking lot, and he's determined now to get his own little tablet so that we can diagnose these problems ourselves from now on.
We'll run that on it, and I'll see if that thing is moving anywhere from where it was. We'll see what happens.
So did he clear out something?
Well, two things. One, he physically cleaned the very clogged. Oh yeah. It is working. So we're gonna give it we're gonna goose it here and.
Did you watch where he took the part out of if you had to do it again? Okay.
I mean, there's nothing big, you know.
Nothing dinging.
No.
Well, do you feel confident enough to pull the RV if it's
Yeah.
not shut it back off?
I think so. It was a very obvious physically cleany thing. Like this wasn't some electronics, except for the sensor. I mean, to the extent I just stress tested it, it's working. I should take it and get over 50 just to make sure. Yeah.
Okay, that little test in the parking lot across the street was good. The fault did not come back on, and he was able to gun it pretty hard. So I'm gonna hang out here with the RV while he gets on the highway, which is right here, see if he can get it over 50 miles an hour. If so, I think we're gonna hook up the RV and try to head down to the land. Okay, so he's out on the highway, he's driving 70 miles an hour, and everything seems to be working fine. So here's the process that we did, or that they did, rather. They brought out their little tablet, and they cleared the fault through the computer, but as soon as Jason turned the truck back on, the idle fault came back. And then he turned the truck off, they tried to clear it again, turn the truck on, it had an idle fault. So that's when they took the DEF injector out, which is apparently very easy. I don't have any footage of them doing it, but easily accessible part. You just need a little wrench to get those hex bolts or screws off. And he took it out, and it was all gunked with crystal DEF. So he took it inside, cleaned it out. Maybe it was just some soap and water, maybe a little Windex is what we had seen on YouTube. So cleaned it out good, reinstalled it, put the screws back in, and then cleared the fault again with the computer. And then when Jason turned it on, the fault did not come back. We did a little test run across the street, seemed to be working fine. And then he took it on the highway to make sure we could get over 50 miles an hour, and we can. So he's on his way back now, and then we're gonna hook up the RV and get going to the land. Well, they only charged us $133. I think that's a great deal. Certainly would have cost a lot more for Ford to diagnose it. Tailgate's good. It's good. So we were very lucky to pull into a place that was a combo O'Reilly VIP, because O'Reilly's is just an auto parts store, but VIP is an actual garage that does some engine work. I think mostly tires, but we were lucky that somebody in there knew what they were doing and were willing to help and try to figure it out in the parking lot.
Yeah, and it was as much they were willing to figure it out, and you can draw whatever conclusions you want of different places you might be for stuff like that, but it's like, yeah, we'll see if we can figure it out. He goes, looks online. It was thankfully very straightforward. I could have done it, and I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I'm happy to pay someone else to do it, but it's a very simple little piece that just needed to be cleaned. And of course they have the stuff to reset the codes once it's cleaned, and we actually aren't that far behind schedule. Like, we could have left later today and this would have been the same thing.
Yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we've got plenty of light left.
We're still in good shape.
20 minutes down the road.
I'm glad we don't have to stay in the parking lot overnight, but I'm glad that we could have if we needed to.
It would have been a fine harvest toast experience. We have all our amenities right here.
All right, let's go.
Good stuff.
Yay, we made it to our land. We got set up here. It's just before sunset. I am hot and sweaty and tired. So we're not gonna hook up any utilities. We're not gonna worry about the well tonight or the septic system because we're ready for boondocking. Our solar battery towers have been topped off before we got here. We've got 20 gallons of water in there that will hold us over till tomorrow. So tomorrow we can set everything up and I will see you then. Well, good afternoon. It's the next day and we've got all of our utilities hooked up finally, and it is hot here. And with our solar, we can't run the air conditioner very long, so we don't bother to turn it on. We don't want to deplete our batteries, but we are sweaty and hot. But I just wanted to show you quickly what we've done here. We've got the well set up, and the cord, the hose, and the electrical are running across the yard to the back of the RV. And then for the sewer, we have the macerator pump also running from the back of the RV. Now, this is not ideal, and it's certainly not how we want it long term, to have all these utilities running across our front yard and the septic, coming in right outside our front door. But that's what we have for now. If it takes us a few years to get this land how we want it, that's fine. We're up here for a shortened stay this year because our granddaughter, as you know, was born, and we've been spending lots of time down in the Boston area with her. And so we're just up here for 10 days before we head over to Nova Scotia for a very special trip that you'll see next time. And then we'll be back here for about another month on the land. And during that time, I think we're going to do some projects on the RV. Finally install the internet antenna on the roof and do some other things like that. We're not planning to do too much with the land this year, except for some general cleanup. Now, we did have a yard service, a lawn service, come in and mow the big clearing before we got here. We decided that rather than trying to ask our neighbors for favors or get the random, person who might come over with a mower, better to just hire a service that can come in and do everything. And we may contract with them to do it on a regular basis when we're not here. We're still thinking about that. As you know, we've just finished our big 5th circuit trip around the country, but we had neglected to put on all of our stickers as we were going. So one of the first projects that we wanted to do up on the land was to update our sticker map, and we had such a great trip. So exciting to see all these stickers filling in. We only have a few states left, which we're planning to collect next year. Ella, come this way.
But since they cleared an extra
Come here, kitty. Good girl. Come on out. Good job. Taking a walk around our circle driveway around our big clearing here after a little bit of rain, so it's cooled way off. It's been so hot in New England this summer, and we're glad to be up in northern Maine where it's a little bit cooler. It's in the high 60s right now after this rain. It feels really good.
Yeah, it's like mid 70s for the day. It was gorgeous out.
Where's Ella?
She's straight back by the...
Ella likes to go for walks around the driveway. We put this little vest on her because we have a leash too, but she's pretty good off leash here because the vest has little reflectors on it. Plus she has an air tag on her collar. So if she did get off in the woods, we could find her, but she really doesn't like to go like in the thick underbrush and stuff. She doesn't go away in the woods. She mostly stays on the driveway with us. She likes to be near us. So if we just walk slow, she'll follow us eventually.
Then sometimes she'll leap and run.
Yeah.
To catch up with us.
She
Ella.
always seems younger when we're up here because she likes to run around outside.
She also looks like she came out of the woods.
That's because she's a Maine Coon cat. What else were we thinking?
Oh, because we're not working on stuff as much this summer, but we are figuring things out for what we want to do when we get back here, because we want to make some kind of deck porch combo with that. But even as we parked here, kind of figuring out how to dial in exactly where you'd want an RV to park. Even thinking longer term where a cabin really would be, how we'll do the garage. Because there's just that next round of, let's take out some more trees here. Some trees came down, so that's maybe an opportunity to thin something out. So I think that's a little bit of what we'll do with our, not even quite 2 months total here this summer, is just get some more data for planning next time. Hey, you're purring. There, you're that carried you? All right. You're not a dog, Ella, but you're still a pretty good cat.
A few weeks ago, before we got here, a really uncharacteristic storm came through this area of Maine. There was some tornado warnings even, which is really unheard of up here, but the winds were so strong that some of our really big trees blew over, including one of my gateway trees that I had at the beginning of my little woodsy path. If you were with us last year here, I spent a lot of hours clearing that path and lining it with birch trees, and I had these 2 gateway trees that I wanted to cut off about 12 feet high and make a little gateway arch. Well, we didn't have time to do it last year, and we said if they survive the winter, we'll work on it next year. Well, one of them fell over in that storm. So that's okay. We'll just redesign, we'll rethink what we're doing. Not a big deal. We've got so many trees here that we can just kind of revamp what we were going to do. But we're not going to do anything with it this year. It's a lot of work to get those downed trees out of there or to pay someone. We're not ready to do anything with it yet. So let's just leave them. Maybe some more trees will fall over this coming winter, and then we can get it all cleaned out at once.
So looking at these trees, it actually is work to clean them up, and it looks like, oh no, the trees fell down. Well, part of the drawback of this tamarack stand that was planted is it never got thinned like it's supposed to. So you had very tightly packed trees that were all competing to get up to the sun. So they shoot straight up. They're very thin, Their roots don't go very deep. So the somewhat good news is, as these ones have fallen and blown over, it opens up this for these. You can even see where it's happened over the years, where there's light comes through and gets some little trees growing. So we actually want that, just we got to clean it up after the fact. Yeah, when you plant those, you're supposed to then thin it out on some kind of schedule. Otherwise, it does what these did, which is it just grows up super, super skinny.
Yeah, and you can see the top of this one is pretty much dead, but it's really tall.
Yeah, very, very shallow root balls because they're fighting for sun. So that, yeah, that went 60, 70 years without being tended to. So now that those fall down, it'll open up for, you know, a more diverse other kinds of trees, which we're seeing. It's kind of fun. So
that's all right. So we're having some work done on the land today. We've got a new lawn service that is coming in and just kind of smoothing out our clearing and our trails. You know, for the past few years, we've had our neighbor Steve in here with his big equipment, clearing trees and laying down gravel. And that was kind of the rough brunt work. And that's been great. He's done a wonderful job. But now we need someone who will do a little bit more finishing work for us. So we've contracted with this company, local company, to mow the clearing every other week throughout the summer. So that's great that we can have someone taking care of the yard when we're not here. And then they've got a box blade that's going to scrape the driveway so that it's not so rough and bumpy. Try to smooth it out a little bit, get rid of the weeds that are growing up in the gravel, and then go back on our trails and box blade so that it's just smoothed out. Now, right now when we walk on the trails, still a little bit bumpy and rutted. You know, we don't want to twist our ankle back there. We just want it to be a pleasant walking path. So they're going to come in here and smooth things out. I'm really excited to see how it looks after they're done. So you've probably noticed this little shuttle bus in the back of my shots here on the land. This belongs to our son-in-law, James. He has lived in it before as an RV a few years ago. It's kind of like, it needs to be redone now, but we're just storing it up here for him until we figure out what to do with it. I'm not sure if we will take the time and expense to build it out to make it like family friendly for them now, or if it will move on to a different home, but that's why it's here in the background, as if you're curious. So after the lawn service got done with their box blading back here on all of our woods trails, I kind of had mixed feelings about it. It was not as smooth as I expected it to be. Now, you know, Jason says I have unrealistic expectations about this being like a walking path like I would find in a state park or something like that, where they've spent lots of money and time making it smooth for the public. And that's kind of what I had in my head. I thought, oh, the box blade will just scrape it off and make it nice and smooth. Well, some parts are like that, like this little grassy area, you know, very easy to walk on. And then other parts are still very rutted and bumpy and dirt mounds and wood and stuff like that. So it's going to take a lot more work and expense to get these smooth, but maybe that's not really our goal. You know, if we're just walking on these, just us in our land, and it's not for lots of people, maybe I'll just have to accept that it's not going to be as smooth as maybe I would like. There are lots of little pine tree saplings around that we keep eyeing for transplanting. There's some spots in the big clearing and around the edges that we think it would be real nice to have a nice fir or a spruce tree here. So we may try to dig up some of these little saplings and replant them, transplant them before we leave in a few weeks.
Yeah, you see all the little fir trees here that could be transplanted elsewhere. And then we're talking about, at least you were talking about the pathways there. And yes, I think you're a little unrealistic, but we could still get closer to that. And what we talked about was probably it's going to require us renting our own stuff and doing the work, because to actually have someone you're paying to take the extra, like super detailed time with hourly machinery and hourly stuff is just not worth it, because it's really just little chunks here and there that would be easier for us to probably do. And also, the longer we do some of that work year in, year out, it just keeps getting smoother. And then if we want to, then we can put the money in. But I've said to Lise, or I've said to you, that letting, you know, the snow, the freeze thaw cycle, rain, and all that stuff work it for us, because it's not like it's just dirt there. It's full ecosystem of tree roots and rocks and things like that. So it's not like someone just scraping dirt and making it smooth. It's a whole interlocked bunch of stuff down there that does not just smooth like frosting. So, but we'll get there. So Lise, this right here is what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part looks good.
Yeah, and this is achievable. It just takes a little while to get that. And I think this probably was a well-driven potato field road route way back when. It's kind of fun to realize decades ago all these trees were gone, and there was, I think they said, like 30-ish acres of potato field here out of this 55 or so.
Well, there's just a few things that we've gotten done on the land since we've been here. Next week, we are going to take a very special trip to Nova Scotia because we are going to the Acadian World Congress. We've got some personal connections over there. We're super excited to spend several days exploring Acadian culture. So we'll see you over there next time. And then after that, we'll be back to the land for a few more weeks. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
I like this juncture because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 directions that go off here.